the speed dating, by the way.
Huh? Speed dating? What are you talking about?
Oh, we will. We're gonna hit that in the end of the show. For those of you that just started listening and heard the word speed dating, there will be more to come on that one. So look out.
Leave me the fuck out of
All right, let's get that share on. Shit.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, oh.
I don't let people got message me when I'm doing the
that.
show.
Oh, I told you, B. Fucking, it's called Do Not Disturb.
Oh, that's cool. All right, so we just sharing it. Everybody, just give us a few minutes to get the audience up. We talking some real shit tonight. Ready to upset some people. Maybe make their eyes roll in the back of their head. I don't know.
Yeah, you can definitely leave me out of that speed dating bullshit. Fuck all that.
Have any of you guys ever done speed dating before?
Nope. Seen it on TV. Never done it.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, hey, it's making a comeback because I think people are fed up with apps. But yeah,
Yeah.
my friend Abby that I had on the show, I went to a few of her speed dating events. And would you believe that a lot of matchmakers have a harder time getting men to show up than women? Like women file into the place, and it's hard to get men to show up to speed dating events.
I figured it'd be the opposite.
You know, exactly. Exactly.
You know, because it's already kind of set up for you. You just sit at a table. My understanding is like a couple of minutes, and you move on to the next table. Is that how it works?
Yes. Yeah. No, you not the next table. Well, yeah. Whatever your station is or whatever it is, you just move on after a certain time. You have like 3 minutes to talk. It's really weird because I kind of feel like you need to get like a you kind of have to find a rhythm with that shit. So like you have to be used to you have to be I'm sorry, well versed in the art of having a 3 minute conversation that pulls somebody in and that's enticing and interesting and all that stuff. So I just think I find that to be really, really interesting. So that's really what it is, but it's just making a comeback. So but that is
Okay.
not what today's show is about. If you want to know what today's show is about, please read the motherfucking caption. Because it's about ooh, now
Sorry.
Do
now there's
not
dings.
disturb. Do not disturb.
Yeah.
My phone don't work that way, man.
Everybody's phone got a do not disturb option.
Yeah, but if I hit that, it cuts off the internet. So
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, that's not good.
yeah, basic phone.
Oh shit. No, go back. Go back. Sorry, I gotta hit all these spaces and groups and all of this shit. So give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. Just give me a second. Gotta share in a couple more spaces.
yeah. The only place I ever seen speed dating was fucking in movies and shit.
That 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
That, but also a couple other things I saw it into.
It
Like,
wasn't bad, but like I'll say it like this: the last one that I went to, Abby partnered with this guy who is a former NFL player. He's a wide receiver. He's a really tall, decent looking guy, tall guy, athletic, in shape, and he was like they're kind of helping the event go on, and it was like a what was it? It was kind of like just a secondary host of the event. But
okay,
when they had these breakout sessions and conversations, the what happened was all the girls is just flocking to him, and all the rest of the dudes standing there like, well, what the fuck do we do now? They was just fawning over this nigga. So it was just like it was kind of just interesting. Sorry. I love you, Abby. Your events are great. I'm not shitting on your events here. All right, Facebook, what up? Okay. So we done filled enough. Thank you, people listening on audio on the interwebs, everybody for bearing with us for a few minutes there while I shared that show. Oh my goodness, I didn't share it on my personal page. How could I not?
Slipping, bro.
I really am.
Yeah.
I really am fucking
Probably getting
slipping.
a notification. It's probably gonna vibrate my phone again.
Oh. Well, at least you'll know when it's coming, because maybe you can like mute ahead of time then. Oh shit, that wasn't as bad. That wasn't as bad. Okay.
I think I fixed it.
Okay. So I'm gonna put the shit on my personal page too. All right. So everybody's read the caption. You know what it is today. Before we really 110% jump into this, really need to do the same old intro we always do. This is the Men Like Us podcast. It's a podcast for men by men. This is a men's space. So, ladies, please understand there's a trigger warning always in effect on this show. We are going to say things the way that, we feel we need to say them in a way that's palatable to men, not women. We just going to keep it real. We're not doing any of the political pretenses, none of that shit. So, y'all want to hear what men really think? You in the right motherfucking place, because we gonna say that shit. So without further ado, today's topic, which people are already commenting on, is activism. We're talking about activism as a requirement. Are transamorous men required to be activists for the transgender community? And I want to be clear, the definition that I'm going ahead with when it comes to activism to me, as I understand it, is, marching down the street, protesting, starting 501c3s, getting laws changed, like actual stuff that political activists do. That's how I view activism. And I think some people don't understand the difference between activism and advocacy. Because what a lot of guys in this space do, what we're doing right now, what all the guys on this show, what we all do is we are all advocates. We spread understanding, knowledge. We really advocate for the community in all spaces that we're in. We are anti-transphobia, all of that stuff. That, in my mind, is being an advocate and being an ally. But an activist is a lot more of an active role in my mind. That's how I see it. So, when we're having this discussion about, are transamorous men required to be activists, that's the understanding we're moving ahead with, is that the activists are really the politically active people, standing in the streets, getting your head stomped on by police, like being a straight up protester, activist, getting arrested, really getting politically active in that way, like really putting yourself out there, being in the forefront, being seen, all of that shit that, you see a lot of trans women do. And, obviously you see a lot of allies do it as well. So, but those are just those two different things. There was some ugly mess that was started on this show in the comment section that blew into something much larger. But I wholeheartedly believe it was because people were using words and they weren't going with the same understanding of each word. Yeah. You can be an advocate and not be an activist in that sense, organizing rallies and doing all these things, all these very visible things. So anywho, what started this was, I don't know. You know what, Corey, do you want to do this, or I can leave it anonymous still? It's fine. I can leave it anonymous. I I don't want nobody upset at you for it, but really, so what happened was, and please go back and listen to the Clubhouse, the very first Clubhouse conversation that I recorded on this channel. On that, in that Clubhouse conversation, it was me, Troy, and a lot of other, trans activist women, what the girls they call that are part of what they call the blue check mafia, so to speak. Very outspoken people with a presence online. So, in that conversation, there were women saying, well, transgenders men, you need to show up for us. You have to do this. You have to do that. You need to be willing to die for us. You need to be out there marching every day. Y'all need to organize. You need to start your own organizations. Y'all need to do all this stuff. And if you're not doing this, you don't really love us. You're not really transamorous and all these things. And, the demand for any man who is dating a trans woman, married to a trans woman, or just says he likes trans women, treats the community with respect, the demand for all of these guys to have to check all these boxes, that's something that, has echoed because, I mean, just recently there was an acolyte of sorts who was listening to some of these idiots, going on about like, hey, transamorous men need to be doing this, 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 and this. And then here she comes to one of the guys talking about, well, I just think you should be doing this. And if you're not doing this, then you're not really blah, blah, blah. And I've had that with me. Well, I mean, it's nice that you do your little podcast and everything, but if you're not in the streets marching, if you're not getting your head stomped on, if you're not willing to get shot for us and die for us and all this other shit, then, I mean, you're not really doing anything. You're not really legit. Like, you're not really, like, who cares what you're not making a difference if you're not doing things the way that I say you should be doing it. So, like, that's a mindset that is popular, sort of popular, but I'll say it like this. It's a mindset that's popular among women who first are single, don't have successful relationships with men, and then B, they just ride high on this anger and all their hurt and pain. Like it's a common thread that ties a lot of these individuals together. And that's really the intro of all of this. But is being a political activist, is being an activist really a requirement? Should transamorous men have to be activists? Yes or no? I'm gonna toss it over to Mike first. Mike, what are you thinking?
I mean, I don't think you have to be an activist just to prove that you're transamorous. Like, I mean, it's like wanting to be in a relationship with a trans woman and wanting to be an activist are two different things. Like, just because a person doesn't go to marches or anything like that doesn't mean that they don't care. They can care, and they could be like in a space where someone's being transphobic and they could call it out. But it's two different things. Like, being an activist is being way more hardcore and saying, hey, I'm going to step up 100% of the way and go above and beyond what I have to do as a human being. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you got people that march for all different types of rights, and then you got people who they're passionate that, okay, what you're marching for, the other people are actually wrong, but I'm just not going to take off of work 5 days a week to go and do that. You know what I mean? Like that's just a reality of life. Like, not everybody's going to be that passionate where they're going to say, fuck this responsibility, this responsibility, this responsibility, just to go out there and do that. But then you got people who will, because they're just that passionate about the cause.
Yeah, for sure. And you brought up one really good point, which is work. Yeah. And if you listen back on that Clubhouse conversation that we have posted on this channel, I brought that up. I'm like, look, this transamorous community of men that are having all these ridiculously high expectations tossed on them. They're just regular guys trying to make it in the world. And like, these motherfuckers got jobs. Forget the marching part of it. Motherfucker, you can't keep your job if you in jail. And who the hell's giving me bail to get out of jail? This shit costs money. When they got the minimum wage protesters out there, they got money and organization ready to go to get people out of jail. They got shit ready to go. I mean, by all means, let me know what the plan is. But I know for me and what I do, having a record ain't the move, fam. It ain't the move. Being a part of the news ain't the move for what I got to do.
There's a reason I think you called this group the tribe, because we're really tiny, just a little bit of us. We don't have a whole lot of financial backing to do these things, to organize marches and protests for the community. We'd like to, but we just don't have that backing, as you say. So reason why we're called the Men Like Us tribe.
Yeah, I mean, that's another really big part of this. Like, we are very small in number. And, another thing I brought up on that conversation to the people that are bringing these arguments that you're not really for us. You guys really ain't doing it. And y'all are just doing the bare minimums, and y'all are trash because you're not doing all these things. Like, at the end of the day, this is such a small community that we post pictures in our group whenever guys are physically in the same space, because it doesn't happen very often. Like, that's some shit that's noteworthy when we hang out in person.
But I mean, also, like, there's been a couple of us, like me and Trell, who have gone to like different events and stuff like that, to where a lot of times we'll get asked, like, oh, what the fuck are you doing here at this event and everything like that? You're not trans or something like that. And the only organization that has never done that to us was the Brooklyn Ghost Project, which is also another trans related organization that, is fighting for, the rights of trans people. So it's like, if we're gonna go to, like, say 9 out of 10 events, and 9 of them, if we're gonna go to 10 events and then 9 out of 10 of them are looking at us like we shouldn't be there, and then all of a sudden you got people trying to say, oh, but you're not doing enough. It's like, how can we really take you serious saying that we're not doing enough when most of your organizations don't even want us there, and there's like one that's cool with us?
So I'd like to add to that too. So I've actually been to one of these types of marches before out in California. When I was out there, I was down in San Francisco. I participated in the what they call the People's March. We marched down all the way down Polk Street down to the Civic Center in San Francisco, where a lot of this started. We did that march because they talked about how it was like one of the first marches they did way back in the day, like in the 70s. And I participated in that. And, walking down the street, you see a lot of your different people, so many different people participating in this march. But people would come up to me as I was walking down the street, and they'd ask me, like, so what's your situation, basically, And I'd tell them, oh, I'm a transamorous man. A lot of people kind of look at you sideways, because, again, like with Mike saying, like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, and when you explain to them what your situation is, they look at you sideways and whatnot. There's not really a whole lot of support. I mean, a lot of people support, but there's a lot of people against us, so to speak, So, I could definitely feel you there on that, Mike.
So before we continue on, I want to address a comment from Paul Grant. So Paul Grant says, you don't have to understand it. Trans people of color are dying at I'm assuming he says disproportionate levels. So they have a lot to be emotional about. And I don't think you have the right to tell someone to check their feelings. Never told anybody to check their feelings. Like, seriously, what are you people honestly complaining about? Not complaining. Are we having this shallow conversation right now? Conversation isn't shallow. We're answering a question, sir. So if you would like to take part in this, by all means, but don't sit there and just try to make this into some shit that it ain't, because that's some bullshit, Paul Grant. That is trash. Right. So the question on the table is should it be a requirement? Is it a requirement for transamorous men to be activists? That's where we're at right now. So Some people say yes, other people say no, and we're gonna have some fucking conversation about that shit. So if you don't like the conversation, please just leave. Just
I'd
leave.
like to,
And
further add to that.
you can go somewhere and then come back in another conversation if you don't like this one.
And the
I have a
doorknob,
year's worth of conversations before this.
and the,
So
and the doorknob can hit you on the way up.
I mean, it's cool. It's look, some people again, I'm not here to be political and keep everybody happy. I'm just having a real conversation because there are people out there that are coming up to men who are saying, "Hey, you're transamorous. Why aren't you doing this? You need to be doing that." And the real answer, and that leaves that man to say, "Well, dang, should I be doing this? Is that what I should be doing? X, Y, and Z." Like, I don't know. Am I a bad person now because I'm not doing this? Is this a requirement? Whatever, whatever. This conversation here helps people understand, help guys think that shit through. Because you have to be able to think that shit through and figure out for yourself what's right and what's wrong. So we all have our opinions here, but as I start the show, a lot of times this show is really here to generate thought and growth in men and help them figure out who and what the fuck they really are. So we're going to continue this, and I'm going to let my main man Troy on because he's been waiting ever so patiently for us to join the group. What's going on, Troy?
What's happening? What's happening?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. So Troy
Well,
was there.
let me address Paul.
Okay.
Let me address Paul
go
real
ahead.
quick. This is a legitimate question. And if we even roll it back even further, we can go to half a decade ago when we were in the spot. And I think Chris was going to allude to this. And we were protested and talked down. And something that was groundbreaking was basically protested and stopped because people were in their feelings. You don't even have the right to say anything because you wasn't in the room, brother. I've been doing this work longer than most. I always tell people go to my YouTube page and just read the comments on how I've impacted people. Be in the room or be on the Zoom calls when we have or sit on the panels when we have the conversations about the work that I've done, the work that Chris is doing right now, the work that the Trans Supporter Brotherhood have done, and the guys who are in both of these groups. So again, when we start to talk about activism versus advocacy, advocacy is doing the work. Activism is showing up and ooh, look at me, look at me. I don't care that people know who I am. They do. I can go anywhere in the country and they know who I am, but they know me because of the work that I do, because of the advocacy, and because I stand up for this community. So when you sit there behind a keyboard to criticize when I don't know who you are, how dare you speak to me? And literally that is why I get upset with some of the brothers, because simping must be easy because there's a lot of simps out there.
And
Well,
to further add to that too.
oh yeah, go ahead, Corey.
Another issue is I think it's just preconceived notions. He had a preconceived notion and he twisted some of what we're trying to talk about here because of preconceived notions, and those things should just be left out. Like, let's actually stick to the facts and what's actually being said, the actual words and facts, and let's not come into this already with a mindset of, oh, you're bad or you're good. Let's just have an honest conversation here. That's what we're trying to do. So yeah.
That's what this space is for. And again, back to the crux of it, is activism a requirement? There are women that say, yes, you transamorous men, you need to be out in the streets, you need to be doing this, you need to be starting these organizations. I've heard one of the ladies say, well, men can organize on anything. Men can organize on fantasy football. They can organize on this, organize on that. And I'm like, that's cool. But now we're conflating two different groups. Because yes, in general, men can organize on a whole lot of things, but this kind of ragtag group of dudes that largely know each other from the internet can't organize on shit because I'm just be real with it. I'm in Houston, and in Houston, I got one other friend that's transamorous here. Me and my boy walking down the street with a motherfucking sign ain't gonna help shit. Like this shit right here, digital media at this point in my mind is our best tool to reach as many men as possible. And and I am getting off the topic by even just explaining that, but it's really, activism, organizing, nonprofits, marches, getting arrested, protests, all that stuff. It's if you're not doing this, you're not valid as a transamorous man. And I am going to just say for myself, I would advise any man who hears those kinds of arguments to don't just disengage, because this person most likely just has really crazy expectations. And I would say you're not a bad guy if you are not an activist, because here's the thing. Because a lot of these girls, well, not a lot of these girls, but the ones who are saying that men have to be activists are usually the ones asking, well, we don't see y'all in relationships either. Where y'all? Why ain't none of y'all in relationships? We don't see y'all in relationships. We don't see y'all in the streets. This, and this. But here's the thing, though. Every nigga I know, every man that I know who is married to a trans woman, ain't none of them ready to put their face out anywhere for shit. They got their lives and they're doing their thing. They're not wearing no fucking t-shirts. They're not doing no goddamn podcasts. They barely active in our private secret Facebook groups. These are some of the most laid back, chill back dudes in the world. These are the men that are marrying trans women, supporting them, being straight up good ass husbands to these women. They're not of that. So that's not completely necessary to be transamorous or anything like that. You don't have to put your face out there. You don't have to be this fucking like exalted martyr like this. You don't have to be this person that's out there in this figure, this head figure. I just don't think it's necessary. If you say you're transamorous, goddamn, you're transamorous, but the expectations on you in that regard are just bullshit, and I would toss it away. Now, if activism is something you want to do, by all means, do it. But you're still valid whether you do it or not, in my mind. So I done said my piece, and I want to get back to and I know people don't like it when I do this, but I want to get back to Paul and just say, yo, for real. No hard feelings. Come back for another show. If you disagree, you disagree. It is what it is. It's all good. Come on back to the group. We can disagree on this topic, and we can agree on 100 others. Because that's another thing that this whole space has fucked up, is when you disagree, now you're enemies. That should not be the case. You can disagree on one fucking issue. Troy and I disagree on shit, and we still boys. I've heard him disagree with his boy, argue up and down. Knock down, drag out argument, and they still the best of friends. So I don't want to put that spirit out there where, well, if I disagree with you, then fuck you. That's how some other people do that shit. Us guys in this space, we don't do that. So Paul, come on back. We disagree with you on this one topic, but come on back for another conversation, because we might be right on the same page. So, and I really want to
sparring.
What's up, bro?
I said it's intellectual sparring. In a sense, you're trying to get better and learn as a person.
Absolutely. And go ahead, Troy.
The other thing is how many spaces like these are out there where men can just come and talk. Men from diverse backgrounds can have real conversations, share ideas, have somebody else to, if they want to shoot, because I've talked to both Mike and Corey, on through Messenger and stuff. I talked to Corey on the phone. We talked for a while. So again, it's all about being able to share ideas. It's all about not feeling alone, because when I first started doing the work, and like I said, I've done the work. So there was nobody out there. There were no other voices, and so it was a kind of a lonely thing, a lonely place to be. But the more I stood up, the more other guys stood up, and now the Chris's of the world and all the Corey and all you guys, Mike, y'all stepping up and y'all talking and y'all having these conversations, And these conversations are important because they go out to other guys, and other guys are going to reach out to us individually or collectively. So, you know, just because, you know, some of these women don't see the work that we're doing, it's all very, very valid. And if you
Hmm.
take the time to talk to us and listen instead of just wanting to respond and get out your feelings, listen to us, because there are some ideas, especially about the violence around trans women. I know that's a different subject, but that we would love to share and would love to get into, because but nobody wants to listen because, you know, we have to do things the way that you want me to, and that's not. I'm never going to be that guy, and I know that, you know, the guys here, we're never going to be those guys that we are just going to capitulate and simp and just say, okay, we're going to do it your way because we're men and we do things in a different manner.
Couldn't agree more. Um, and you know that's another list of it. But you know, the activism, like you said, Troy, is being seen, and it is about, you know, people saying, well, we're not seeing the work. You transgenders guys, we're not seeing you do the work. We need y'all to step up and do the work. We're not seeing it. It's just like, yo, please, ladies, if y'all hear this in your circles, please help your sisters understand that just because you're not seeing it doesn't mean it isn't being done. And like just understand that much, because it is happening. All the guys on this call, we can all attest that we have talked to men that say, hey man, I saw your video. Hey man, I found your podcast. Hey man, whatever. And they just started sharing and it just comes out. They let it all out, because a lot of the men that come to us, they've never had an opportunity to share honest opinions about any of this stuff ever in their lives. So it is kind of liberating. But I kind of want to switch gears, guys, because you know we were talking about activism as a requirement, and I think a lot of us would agree here that activism is not a requirement to be transamorous, and it is a requirement placed on. It's a requirement that some try to place on men, but you know they don't have any place to do that. They don't have any right to do that shit. So, but I do want to talk about another requirement though, one that I actually do believe is a requirement. I actually believe advocacy is a requirement. I hope I spelled that right. I believe advocacy is a requirement. Activism is not a requirement, but advocacy is a requirement. And I've said this on other shows. One of the bare minimum things that guys can do is to put their privilege, sacrifice their privilege in all spaces. You're in a space with other cis hetero men and they start talking shit about trans people, speak the fuck up. Don't just hide in the background. Don't blend in and say nothing. Speak up. Be anti-transphobia. In any space that you're in, eradicate that shit. But I don't know, fellas. What do y'all think about the advocacy as a requirement? What are some other things that guys should be doing outside of just doing that shit in conversations with other men?
I mean, I definitely agree with that. You know what I mean? I mean, it's you know, it's a small thing, but yet it can be a very powerful thing. Because, you know, I say this all the time. I believe change happens, especially social change happens conversation by conversation by conversation. You have a conversation with somebody, it spikes off to other conversations.
Yes.
So, you know, if somebody's talking some negative bullshit, you know, try to set them straight, and they may not give in, they may not listen to you, they may be like, oh no, it's bullshit, you know, trans women aren't women, and you know, but that could sink in, and maybe eventually it could take a week, months, years. Eventually it could have a positive effect for everybody involved. But sorry, I'm getting off track. But no, you know, change happens by conversation, having conversation, like what we're doing here.
I mean, it's like, to be clear, like, being an advocate is being supportive of trans women. Being an activist is going hardcore, being at the marches and doing all that stuff. So when you are being supportive, you are being an advocate, because you're saying, hey, whatever space I'm in, if someone's getting out of line and they're saying something they shouldn't, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to make sure that, you know, that shit doesn't happen around me. So that's what I'm saying. Like, people just got to understand, like, being supportive and being an advocate is pretty much the same thing. Being an activist is going above and beyond.
I
You
mean,
know,
go ahead, bro.
arguably, um, you know, am I an activist? Have the things that I've done have been groundbreaking? Have I gone to the conferences? Have I put myself on the line? Yeah, I've done that. You know, um, there's other guys who were with me, Antoine and Jonathan. They were there. Stan was there that day, sitting in the audience. There's a couple other guys, I can't remember off the top of my head, who were in the audience, who paid their money to fly to Chicago to be there to just just vibe and just get with the brothers and like have real conversations. All of that got knocked down. I saw the brothers in the audience and I was pointing and I'm like, hey, oh, you here, you made it. So again, when you're visible, when you're vocal, is that activism? In some people's mind, it's not. But in mine, yeah, because there are so many men who hide in the shadows and they get all of the fruits of the community that they can without putting any skin in the game. And yet
Mhm.
we are visible and vocal, and the expectations of what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to do it are just crazy to me. So, you know, it's always a small but vocal minority who has the most to say. Because, Chris, I know you and I know that, you get a lot of support. I get a lot of support from women. But everybody's going to have their haters. And, when you become visible and vocal, you have to understand that haters come with the territory.
For sure. I think another part of the advocacy that I think is pretty basic that a lot of guys can do, is to bring understanding in all spaces, help other people learn. Like, the trans community is so small, like, just looking at raw numbers, whatever number, I mean, they track as best they can, but from the data that I've seen, it's like 2 million people, 2 million Americans that are transgender, and that's split between trans men and trans women. And that's a very small snippet of America's population. So I just think, going out there and helping other people understand things that they got twisted, like, no, they just men in wigs and this, or, just misunderstandings about, well, no, I don't want them in my bathrooms because of this, or I don't want them playing sports because of this. Like, clearing up shit and just helping people understand certain things in spaces where there are no other trans individuals to help out, I think really helps. And, I think that's a form of advocacy that I think a lot of men I think that's just bare minimum. Like, when I say advocacy is a requirement, the stuff that we're talking about is like, fellas, this is the bare minimum shit you should be doing. And it's reasonable to expect a man who says he's transamorous to do these things. It could be as simple as, sharing, spreading awareness about deaths of trans people, trans women, Black trans women, because those are really the ones who's dying. It ain't trans people. It's Black trans women are the ones who's dying. So, sharing awareness about that, whether it's you wearing the t-shirts, whatever, hashtags, like, I mean, to be honest, that's all some trans women are doing themselves in this area. Like, and that's fine. If that's where you're at, bro, like, you're not especially bad or you're not lazy. Like, yo, it's for some people. And then if you have a calling to be an activist, by all means, follow that shit and do it. And I'm sure the community is will be happy for you to to fulfill that role, whoever you are out there. Um, but I had to help some people understand that, hey, this is a community of guys with fucking jobs, and you know all the stuff that I do. I'm not making any money from this shit. This is all on my own dime. I spend my own money, pour my own, literally thousands of dollars into this, my other podcast, the equipment, whatever. I've donated of myself to this to help other men. And, that was when I first came into Troy's group and I start hearing from women. the first thing I heard was all of the sob stories, all the woe, all the shit that, and I'm dipping into black territory here. Trade, that's pretty much random hookups, all the shit that the girls' random hookups are doing to them. And I was like, wow, this is fucking terrible. Like, we need to encourage these guys to not be DL. We need to stand up and be an example. We need to do X, Y, Z. We got to help this situation. All of this shit right here is a reaction. This shit didn't come out of nowhere. At least for me, I heard X, Y, and Z happen, and I have compassion and empathy, and I want to change that. I want to change the world in that respect, change things for an oppressed community in that respect. So, here we are. I'm on my second podcast of this shit. But guys, you don't have to start a podcast. You don't have to do YouTube videos. Just really being supportive and being visible and all, like, please don't have the second Facebook profile, where you have one that's for you and then one that's for your trans attractive version of you. Like, really, advocacy is being seen, being a beacon that people say, oh, dang, I know somebody that actually is in proximity to this community, and I have all the questions in the world. It's a lot of, I don't know about you guys, but I've had plenty of people from my high school, college. Man, I got questions, bro. Like, what is this? So what's going on with this? Am I using this right word? And they're comfortable because they know me. And I just think it takes us being allies and advocates to really put ourselves in spaces where we can bring understanding to new people who don't have any proximity to the trans community at all. I'm not saying I am speaking for the community, but let's be real. I'm going to just bring this back to race. There are some spaces that Black people are not in that our allies can help bring understanding to other people in. So I'm not at that dinner table in the South or wherever the fuck, but my friend who is white could be there and bring understanding in a space that I'm not in. And that's totally fine. I don't think he's speaking for Black people, but he's helping some people that just don't understand some shit. And it's coming from somebody that they can relate to and understand. And that's another part of it, This is kind of
That's a great
sexist,
point.
but shit hits different when it's coming from a dude.
No, well, that's reality.
For
That's
for
the
for,
reality
for some men,
of the society we live in.
yeah, I said it's sexist. It's it's all the things.
It's not, not necessarily. Well, it's reality. And the other point is, when you're visible, when you're vocal, when people know that you're out there like that. I go into social circles where people know. I mean, my Facebook page is most of, if not all of my posts are public. So, I don't care. You can see what I think about, religion, the vaccines, politics, and me being a guy who in any LGBT issues. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't just advocate for trans women. I advocate for the entire community because I think it's important as and bringing it to race as a Black man with all of the stigma that and things that are associated with it. I wear it proudly. So when I'm in these social situations and something comes up and then I challenge people or challenge a family member or challenge, a friend or have a friend say, hey, by the way, I knew this girl one time and whoop-de 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 woo, because it's the first time that they're able to have those types of conversations, with somebody and not feel that they're going to be judged. So that's really, really powerful and changing, just shifting that paradigm of how we think and men being out and open and visible and vocal. That's that to me, that's advocacy and activism. So, if you don't like my brand, that's fine. You don't have to like my brand, but I am going to continue to do the work because I have receipts. Chris has receipts. We do the work. So, if you're angry about that, well, then why are you here? And why are you listening? Because apparently we're having some impact on you. So, I think too many guys get disillusioned and then just go right back to the shadows because let's keep it real, Chris. It's easier to live in the shadows. It's so much easier. Am I right or wrong, fellas?
You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed. Agreed. I want
So,
to, before we go into
more
the,
employment opportunities, sometimes.
oh, shit. Before we move on to the next point here, I just want to acknowledge this is a milestone for the show. So we finally got our first commenter on Twitch. We've been streaming to Twitch for the last month and a half, 2 months. If you don't know what Twitch is, it's a video game streaming site where people are starting to stream all sorts of non-video game things. But shout out to Random Jaspery. He's been dropping in just small little comments here and there. But Random Jasper, you were the first. So shout out to you. Sorry to bring this to a grinding halt. But
nerds. Nerds.
yeah. Oh no. Man, love Revenge of the Nerds, by the way. Love it. I don't judge it by 2021 standards. I'm just gonna say that much right now.
Oh, really?
But
Yeah.
And everyone, I appreciate y'all in the comments today. We're just not really getting all that mixed into the comments, but that's really the heavy shit. And I kind of just want to let that go because I have some other fun shit. And ladies in the comments, I want y'all to take partners too. This is kind of a two-part show. The conversation is, the activism, advocacy part. I think we couldn't have been clearer on that subject. And I think it's good to clear that shit up for guys who are encountering women that are throwing this at them and really shaking their foundation. Not shaking their foundation, but getting them to be like, man, like sometimes guys don't know any better than to buy into the bullshit. So, but I posted this meme on the Men Like Us Instagram account. I posted a few other places too, but we actually did voting for it. So, oh, it was a lot of cap. There was a lot of cap today. I was asking ladies, which one would you take, A or B? For those of y'all that are listening and not viewing this, because we do get a decent amount of people just listening on podcasting platforms. I'm showing a meme of two different men. One is a heavy-set man, chunky, like myself, pleasantly plump, holding a salad for some reason. I don't know. Maybe that was photoshopped in. Man A, who was chunky, out of shape, has a 401k, makes approximately $124,000 a year, has his own house, his own car, no kids, is an excellent cook, and is not on social media, it looks like. I think that's what the off means. So that's guy number A, or guy A. Guy B is a man the man has the body of a god, ladies. He literally has the body of a god. Like it looks like he came straight out of Street Fighter. So some video game, some movie. Like I don't even think Aquaman was that chiseled. So anyways, a man with the body of a god. This is the second guy. He has no job, makes $0 an hour, stays with his cousin, has no car, has 3 kids, 3 baby mamas, works out quite a bit. Obviously, you got to for that body, and has 15,000 followers on IG. So, guy number one again, 401k, makes about $124,000 a year, owns his own house, has his own car, no kids, can cook, not even on social. Second guy, no job, no money, stays with his cousin, no car, 3 kids, 3 baby mamas, works out quite a bit, and has 15K followers on IG. I asked women to pick. And, the percentages, the results of that poll on IG, let me get it back up again. One second. Because, I said it was for ladies only, but men felt the need to vote and fuck up the numbers. So the real percentages was 71% of women who voted for guy letter A. And wait, I said 70, right? Yeah, 70. And no, I'm sorry, 71%. 71% voted for guy A, and 29% voted for guy B. And I was just like, okay, so this is an anonymous fucking voting, and we still have cap going on, ladies. Why are y'all capping? And I need y'all to answer for this in the comments because y'all out here. Okay, now here's the thing. Okay, so now Tracy is saying guy A, but I agree he cooked his as own. Cynthia says guy A. What if you're somewhere in between these? Nope. Yep. Doug is asking, what if you're somewhere in between those only? Nope, these are only choices. You don't get and one response that we got a lot from ladies at first was neither. I'm gonna just stay single. No, you got to pick one.
There is no gray area.
No gray area. Nope, you got to pick one. Stop the cap. So who else voted here? Been there. Oh yeah, but see, Misha married. She already know better. Been there, chose A, and was happy as hell. There you go. Take it straight from a married woman, ladies.
Well, Chris,
all right, Troy. Let's get the commentary going.
I see in the community here in Metro Detroit.
Okay, Detroit.
Metro Detroit.
Go Pistons.
I see that they choose a guy who doesn't even necessarily look like B. And they take care of these guys. These guys have no job. They have no vocabulary. They have no intelligence. They have no car. They have nothing. And these guys get more play than the blue collar, white collar guys who are into the girls, but they don't carry that fizzle or what have you. It's the real numbers, the reality shows something quite different. Ain't no 70, 71, 29. It's probably actually reversed the other way because guy A would not get no play here. I'm just saying what I see. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying.
Detroit. Well, fellas, if you are like guy A, don't go to Detroit. Even if you make, and you know what? I have to be honest. If I was guy letter A, wow. If I was the heavy guy with a lot of money and all my own shit, like I feel like Detroit would be good because low cost of living. You can live like a sultan off of $124,000 a year. Like I'm from Milwaukee. It's damn near the same city in terms of cost of living, all that shit. In Milwaukee, you can make a lot of money. Now, I see women talking about, well, guy A can always lose the weight. He can always, He the nigga that made it. He ain't got to lose nothing. He evaluating you. I'm sorry. Wait. Let me pull that back. My fucking Kevin Samuels on.
Oh, wow.
All right. Ladies. No. I love bringing up Kevin Samuels. It just makes people angry. Oh my God. But I don't know. I don't even think 124,000 is that rich, really. I think that's just a regular ass dude that got a little bit more than most. But like, you ain't living in the deluxe apartment in the sky. You ain't living in no mansion at 124,000. I mean, maybe in Detroit you can get a really nice house in Detroit. You get a better house in Atlanta.
Bro, you said she can't even be Weezy.
Yeah, can it? Yeah, ladies, if you get a guy, hey, you can't even really be Weezy. Like you ain't gonna have no maid, no, none of that shit. I mean, I guess if the guy if he saves, maybe. But this was just something funny I saw on the internet. I put it out there as a vote to ladies, and I just thought it was absolutely fucking hilarious. And the comments were always hilarious. So I'm not here to bitch about who's picking B or who's picking A or nothing like that. But it is what it is. I just thought it was absolutely hilarious because, it really just puts it in like, all right, ladies, what you gonna do? And you just wait and watch for people to start tap dancing in line. Can I get both? Can I get something in between? I'm gonna just stay single. Neither one of these. Okay. So that's just
A is
funny.
gonna be their boo. A is gonna be their boo, and B is gonna be their side dude.
Thank you. You know that's how it's
yeah,
gonna go down. You know?
they could try that for sure. They could try that, but guy A can get somebody else. He don't need you. He's making good money. Like he's the guy that's providing. Essentially, I'll just say it like this, because not all women are this. Obviously, there are plenty of women who got their own careers and shit. But let's just say for the young girls out there who want to be taken care of, at that point you're a dependent, and you can always just go get a new dependent. You don't need like the guy is just gonna move the fuck on.
Yeah. Straight up, she's gonna date guy A. She's gonna make guy B the side dude, and then all of a sudden, guy A is gonna find out, and he's gonna be like, "Yeah, come on home, baby. I need to show you what I cooked." And then she comes home and all her suitcases right out in the front door.
Oh damn! Now we ain't doing waiting to exhale up in here. But I say it like this, fellas: if your woman's personal trainer looks like guy B, fire that nigga quick. Personal trainers be smashing, bruh. Them motherfuckers be smashing. They not smashing. They be smashing.
As a personal trainer and
See,
work for my
look,
brother's company.
look.
That's not true. That's not necessarily true.
Look here.
That's not necessarily true.
Now,
I mean, I'm not saying that it's all false, but
stop the cap, bruh.
No. A lot of your clients aren't necessarily smashable, so there's that.
Well, okay. Well, that's it. That was a good show, everybody. Thanks for watching. The thoughts and opinions of Troy are his and his alone. No, it's fine.
Hey, bro. Look. You know that I stand up. I stand up for what I say and what I. And how many times have you heard? Didn't I tell you?
Exactly. Now look, we just having fun tonight, y'all. This was just the fun half of the show. All this shit is we just kicking it. So don't be running out here making clips and nothing like that. You can, but it is what it is. We just kicking it.
Real quick.
Yes,
Fridays are now good for me. So because we switched our nights to Saturdays. So Fridays are now good. So that's why I kept bugging you, bro.
Some more of OG Yoda.
Yes, sir.
But
and I appreciate it. We have to, and I'll shut up after this. We do have to, continue to educate, continue to reach out, in spite of. And I appreciate what you're doing, Chris. I appreciate, you taking the time out of your day, using your resources to, put this together and to have conversations that are just not being had. So my hat's off to you, brother.
Appreciate it, man. And there's women out there that say like, give the girls your flowers before they're gone. I'm gonna just say this on the airwaves, ladies and men, everybody needs to give Troy his flowers. That's the motherfucker right there that been doing this shit for a minute, helping everybody, putting himself last to help everyone, spending hours on the phone, using his own, just helping people. Even, I ain't even gonna go into all the shit. I'm gonna just say work is being done and the man has made a difference. And, we call him the OG because, he is the OG, goddammit, and he's out here doing real shit. So we talk about people we need to give flowers to. That's a motherfucker that need to get his flowers. He needs to get his retirement reward, get the gold watch, so to speak.
Original gangster.
There you go.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, not gangster, original gangster.
There we go. So with that, we're gonna bust out because we're keeping these things around an hour. So thanks everybody who joined us for this conversation. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video on YouTube. Follow us on IG, all that stuff. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we will see y'all the next week at the latest, maybe midweek. Who knows?
And check
All
out the
right.
Real Talk
Very much
podcast.
love.
Yeah.